know what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to free your mind, Neo. But I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.
The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters. The very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it.
My elders knew what they lost. They lost their homelands, they lost their culture, they lost their language, and everything they possibly ever dreamed of was gone. But yet they held on to the hope and believe that someday for their children, their grandchildren, their great-great-grandchildren, not yet born, there would be a better time, that the culture and everything that they lost would come back.
When I was young, I did not notice Canada's plains, the Mississippi River, the volcanoes of Mexico and Central America, that they were covered in blood, the blood of my people. And at Cajamarca, in Peru, on the Argentine plains, the Caribbean, along the Amazon, in the mountains, the valleys, the blood of my people, in a Holocaust, in a savage genocide at the hands of Europeans. I did not notice the silence and slavery of my people. I was silent. I was a slave. I was ignorant. No one was there to tell me of the massacres, the Smallpox Holocaust, the one that killed 95% of our population at the hands of Europeans. I did not know that our poverty was a direct result of being robbed of the vast mineral and land wealth, forests, farmland, gold, iron ore, the wealth of this, our continent, centuries ago, by the thieving and killing hands of Europeans. I did not notice, I did not know that I and those who are my people, the so-called Indians, that we were, that we are, the less than 5% who survived. We survived the massive killings, massacres, savage attacks by Europeans, the biggest Holocaust in the history of humanity. I did not know. I did not know. I should have known. But how could I have known, since this was kept from me? This was kept from my people. I never saw the movie that told of this. The school books never mentioned this. My family, my friends, my people never spoke of this. The world did not speak to me of this. I was a child of ignorance. I was a child of slavery. Slavery to the needs and wants of Europeans. The Europeans in Canada, those in the United States, the Europeans who control in Mexico and in Central America and in South America. I was a slave of ignorance, born not knowing of the monstrous European crimes. Of all of this, I was ignorant. There was no guidance for me from our leaders. We had no leaders, no venerables or warriors to give me or my people dignity, to teach us honor. There was no knowledge of our heroes and our accomplishments that could have been told to us by teaching us our Nicanflaca history, the history of our people as indigenous people. There was only racism since I was a child. Racism on all our continent, Canada to Central America and down to South America. The racism is everywhere, like a curse on our people. The colonial nations forced upon our continent keep us divided by their borders on our continent, their languages, their religion, and their need to keep us ignorant of our collective ownership of this whole Western Hemisphere. We are not free anywhere on our continent from the control of Europeans. They tell us where we can go, where we cannot go. They tell us all the wealth of our continent now belongs to them. Nothing now belongs to us. And we say nothing because we mostly know nothing of the truth. Not even the Europeans know the truth of all the crimes that their ancestors have committed on our people and on most of the non-European people of the world. The Europeans caused on us a smallpox holocaust that butchered our population and destroyed our cities, that has distorted our reality, lessened our human potential, made us poor on our rich continent. My people need to know of this Holocaust, of these crimes. Europeans need to know of the blood on their hands, the stolen property that they now hold. European descent people need to know of this truth and the need for justice. The whole world needs to know of this. Most people now know a limited knowledge, a Eurocentric knowledge that distorts, that makes less of the crimes of the Europeans, less of the accomplishments of our people, less of our ownership of this continent. Some know of Wounded Knee, where 300 more or less were killed, and Sand Creek, where another 300 more or less were killed. But we all need to know of Tenochtitlan, where 10,000 warriors in unarmed rituals were killed at the hands of dishonorable Europeans. Cajamarca, where 7,000 unarmed warriors were killed at the savage hands of cowardly Europeans with a pretense of peace at the hands of immoral, unethical, savage Europeans. I am still learning every day of crimes committed against my people. I am still learning of accomplishments that we made, of archaeological sites discovered, of our art that has been found. I now know of our great cities, Tenochtitlan, Tlaxcala, and Cholula, all of which were larger than any city in Europe. I now know we ran an education system in Tenochtitlan that had the first free and mandatory schools for everyone, male and female. And we think our people don't like education. We were a people of science, of hard work, of genius, of discipline. We had superior knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, the calendar, medicine, surgery, anatomy, pharmacology, botany, and a theology that was a science that was a pure love of our Creator. All of these accomplishments we did in form superior to anything the Europeans had in 1492. Yes, we had cities larger than those of Europe, and our cities were cleaner than those of the cities of Europe, with universities, hospitals, public restrooms, and a marketplace larger than any found in Europe in 1492. Unlike what we have been taught, the majority of our population on this continent was urban, living in large cities, large towns, and located mostly in the south of this continent. The small minority of our people were tribal and located mostly in the north. But we were one people. We are one people. One nation, one race, united by culture, by languages, by our collective history, and by our collective ownership of this land, of this continent. We were a civilized people before Europeans came. We were a moral and ethical people before they came. We were a logical, reasonable people before they came. We were a courageous and honorable people, a people of knowledge and science, of democracy and egalitarianism. We were a people who honored hard work and merit. One day our children will be born into those accomplishments, those freedoms, as a Nicantlaka, the indigenous people of this continent, free and beautiful in their own light.
If I was Palestinian, I would be fighting Israelis for the crimes they perpetrated against my people. If I were Irish, I would be fighting the British for the crimes they perpetrated against my people. If I were a victim of those injustices, those thefts and genocide, it would be my duty, an issue of my honor, and a life dedication to free my brothers and sisters from the criminal actions of the Israelis and the British. But I am a Mexica, and Aslan does not look like Northern Ireland or like Palestine, occupied and stolen, under oppression. I am Mexica, and the only dead bodies I see are those of the Chicano gangs. Chicanos killing other Chicanos, gangs killing our people. Every day, every week, every year, hundreds killed. It does not look like Palestine or Ireland, but this is worse than Palestine or Ireland. Here, foreigners, Europeans, and their descendants also come and say our land is theirs, that we are aliens on our own land, and we say, okay, yes, this is your land. We have been taught to say that. We accept oppression, racism, and theft. They are imposed on us every day. Their death is upon us. The new slavery is upon us. Humiliation they impose upon us, and we cannot see it. We do not want to see that humiliation. We are smelling only the roses, not the fact that they are the roses of our own funeral.
But when you're looking for DNA links, you're trying to blame the victim. When you're trying to find things inherent to the cultures that precipitate this condition, you're trying to blame the victim. They've got every possible elegant, sophisticated, esoteric, completely off the chart of scientific probability explanation that needs intensive investigation, except the obvious one that you did it to them. And there's a responsibility that comes with that. And the whole charade in academia and theorizing is to avoid exactly that responsibility. But hey, we're all Americans, aren't we? Is there anything we don't try to shirk responsibility for?
When I was in graduate school, I was a classmate with a man who was on leave from the United States Navy. He was the most high-ranking African-American in the United States Navy. He was a captain, then he became an admiral. And he and I used to talk about the Pequot War, because he was writing on the Pequot War. And he got very emotional, talking about what the Puritans had done to the Indians and how they had dehumanized them in order to kill them, because, he said, that's what he had done. As a naval officer in Vietnam, commanding a fleet of ships that were shelling villages all up and down the coast of Vietnam, not knowing who they're killing. They're killing babies, they're killing women, they're killing old people, they're killing civilians. They don't care. He doesn't care. He said, I never even thought about their lives, because they were just gooks. They were just dehumanized things. If I'd ever could have seen what I was doing and thought of them as human beings, I couldn't live with myself for it. But I had been trained to dehumanize them, and so I did. And that's exactly what happens over and over again. It's what's happening in Kosovo, it's what's happened in Cambodia, it happened in Rwanda, it happened in Nazi Germany, and it happened here in California and across the whole continent.
Britain had been the world dominant power, but by the time of the First World War, it was weakened by the war. Air power was just coming along at that time. So the idea was to use air power to attack civilians. They figured that would be a good way to reduce the costs of crushing the barbarians. Churchill, who was then colonial secretary, didn't think that was enough. He got a request from the RAF office in Cairo asking him for permission, I'm quoting it now, to use poison gas against recalcitrant Arabs. The recalcitrant Arabs they were talking about happened to be Kurds and Afghans. Not Arabs, but by racist standards, anybody you want to kill is an Arab. Poison gas was the ultimate atrocity at that time. The kind of the worst thing you could imagine. Well, this was circulated around the British Empire. The India office was resistant. They said if you use poison gas against Kurds and Afghans, it's going to cause us problems in India, which we're having plenty of problems. There'll be uprisings and people will be furious and so on. I'm not going to mind in England, of course, but in India they might. Churchill was outraged by this. He said, I cannot understand this squeamishness about the use of poison gas against uncivilized tribes. It'll cause a lively terror. It will save British lives. We have to use every means that science permits us. Okay? So that's the way you deal with Kurds and Afghans when you're the British.
The real looting in this country takes place in the transfer of the wealth from the poor to the rich. I'm sorry that you don't like class and the truth, my friend, but you're just stuck with it. Class and truth. And the poor have been systematically looted in this country. The rich have been made richer under this criminal, fascist president and his government.
Okay. George, I think do you know what fascism is?
Fascism,
you know what fascism is?
To America,
you know what Nazis are?
No, wait, sir, wait, sir. When fascism comes to America, it will not be in brown and black shirts. It will not be with jack boots. It will be Nike sneakers and smiley shirts. Smiley. The fascism. Germany lost the Second World War. Fascism won it. Believe me, my friend.
And actually, fascism is when corporations become the government.
Yes.
And that's sort of what we have. And poverty has gone up.
The United States federal government is a privately owned company. It's a corporation.
The whole government.
Of course, it's a private. It's like General Motors, Ford Motor Company, Sears. It's a privately owned. But see, most people don't understand. The United States government is a corporation. It is a privately owned company.
Who owns it?
Oh, well, that's different. Now you're getting
now I'm asking the right
now you're asking the right question.
Right.
So there's a world of difference between the United States and the word United States of America.
Oh, really?
United States of America is a republic. It's based on the bringing together of 48 separate countries. Each state in this union is a separate country.
Okay.
And so you're crossing over from California to Nevada is like crossing over from France to Spain.
Right.
And so you can't do things in Nevada you can do in California. So you can't do things in New York that you can do in Florida.
The United States is the recognition of separate countries, but the United States of America means...
Those are United States. So, but each one's a state, like the state of Virginia is like the state of Israel.
Right.
It's a country. It's referred to as a state.
And
as a matter of fact, there's a world of difference between. There's a world of difference in words in law. I mean, when you go to court, there's a very big difference between a trial by jury or a jury trial. Doesn't mean the same thing. There's a very big difference between California State and the state of California. Doesn't mean the same thing.
It doesn't?
No.
Like, what's the difference there?
Cal State is the state. We call California. That's the state. But state of California is different. That has nothing to do with California. That's the federal government operating within the confines of the state of California. So anytime you see the state of, that means it's a federal corporation operating within California.
But
California is called Cal State. That's why you have California State University, California State this, and California State. That's California. But state of California is the federal government.
Do people know this? Do
No,
lawyers know this? Nobody-
People don't know any of this. None of this. Nobody, because it doesn't have anything to do with football. So who the hell needs to know about any of this stuff? I need to know, because I don't like being played for a fool.
Yeah.
I want to know who's running this country.
You don't want to be manipulated.
I refuse to be manipulated. I want to know exactly who's doing what. I want to know how they're doing it, and how are they messing with my mind and my money and my family. So I want to know. 99% of people I run into, they couldn't care less as long as the beer's cold and football's on. They don't care.
But when people vote for like a president, what is happening? That doesn't...
You go to the polls. What is a poll? I mean, a poll is when you take a consensus of the people. Which one of these fruitcakes do you want to bow down to and give your money to? Do you want this group all here, or that airhead here, or this ding-a-ling over here?
Right.
We just want to know the basic concepts. Which one do you people like?
It obviously doesn't seem to matter.
They all work for me, so it doesn't matter. But to make you people happy, would you rather have a woman over here? Would you rather have a black guy? Or would you rather have this old white man? Which one would you like?
Nothing changes. You mean Obama says...
It doesn't matter, because I own them all anyway.
Right.
It's just business. Come on, this is the mob.
Well, who is the mob?
We're talking the mafia here. We're talking the underworld.
Who are these people? You know, the Illuminati,
Just business, nothing personal. Don't take this personal.
But there's someone behind it. That's...
Oh, you bet there is.
Yeah.
But they're in Europe.
They are.
Yeah.
And many white people who mean right and in heart want to do right, but there's so few. If 10,000 rattlesnakes was coming down that aisle now, and I had a door here I could shut, and in that 10,000, 1,000 meant right. 1,000 rattlesnakes didn't want to bite me. I knew they were good. Should I let all these rattlesnakes come down, hoping that 1,000 get together and form a shield? Or should I just close the door and stay safe?
I think that...
You understand? The Viet Cong are not all bad, but America's still dropping bombs. In Hiroshima, Japan wasn't bad, but she still dropped the bomb. In Korea, they weren't bad, but they still dropped the bomb. So now I'm going to forget the 400 years of lynching and killing and raping and depriving my people of freedom, justice, and equality, the first fired, last hired, the lowest of low, last suspected, and I'm going to look at 2 or 3 white people who are trying to do right and don't see the other million trying to kill me? I'm not that big of a fool.
So the things that are in operation on this planet is that white people want to kill us. I want you to understand that. They want to kill you. And it has nothing to do with what the kind of degree you have, what kind of car you have, what kind of title you have, what fraternity you belong to, what religion you belong to. They want to kill you because that is part of their plan. There are any number of reasons why they want to do that. I'm not going to waste my time trying to figure out why they want to kill us. But I know that's what they want to do. And they want to do it in many different ways. Psychological, economic, cultural, spiritual, social, and biological, chemical, electromagnetic. They want to kill you. But they also want to make money in the process of your death. Now, I saw a brother when I was coming in, he was smoking a cigarette. So now he's going to kill himself, but they're going to make money off of his death process. The other thing is that they want us to, if they don't kill us, like they tried to kill the brother by beating him up in New Orleans, if they don't kill us that way, if they don't come out right and kill us straight, they want to get us to kill ourselves. Now, these are the only 2 operations on the planet. The other thing is that there's only one nigger on the planet. I never use that word. This is the first time I've used it. I don't even think that word. But there's only one nigger on the planet. And the nigger that's on the planet is the one that is destroying the water, the one that's polluting the air, the one that is exploiting people and resources. And the only nigger on the planet is the white man and the white woman. And then our people are not niggers. We are imitation niggers.
1, 2, 3, 4. Mother, mother, there's too many
politicians
of you crying.
Westminster. And it's really important symbolically
Brother,
because
brother,
the monarchy is a state
There's far too many of you dying.
It's her government.
We will build a great wall along the southern border to bring some loving here today. Father, Mother, we don't need to escalate. Oh, it's not answer for only love can conquer.
The Ku Klux Klan remains.
You know we got to find a way to bring some loving. Oh, yeah, yeah. Pick it lights, pick it sight. Punish me with brutality. Talk to